There are quite a few books coming out nowadays that pull on nostalgia as a very strong tool to put them on the New York Times bestselling list and to impact readers who have read material in the same universe or series in the past. And one of those that came out recently is Murtagh by Christopher Paolini. And I will do a review now about that. And of course, I am such a slow content maker. I like to have you guys enjoy the books before I review them. Of course, that's definitely what I'm trying to do here. That they've already come out with the special edition for it by Tor Publishing, not Tor, sorry, Knopf, for this lovely foiling and sprayed edges. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about this with a reminder of this book coming out, the special edition, to kind of spur me on to do that. Of course, I've let the book of the week book reviews wind down on my channel. I did like one and committed myself to doing them weekly and then killed that. But now it's time for me to put content out more consistently, and I really want to do that for you guys and in a way that allows readers. I myself am a reader, and I'm also a creative writer. If you don't know that, that's kind of what I do almost all the time nowadays, and I love it. But I will be looking at this later on in the spoiler section as more of a review of the plot. So I'm trying to do this as a pick back up that book of the week style reviews and do it in a way that both readers and writers can enjoy, both for the craft side of things and for analyzing the plot in a way that they can find the reads that'll really benefit them in their lives and in their futures, and where writers can really benefit from understanding the plot. So without further ado, let's get into it. One of the things I think this book did really well was its use of nostalgia, as I said earlier. And this is kind of because the Inheritance Cycle, Aragon, Eldest, Brisingar, Inheritance, were some of the first books to really get me back into reading outside of Harry Potter, and I think I would really credit Christopher Paolini's own story with why I decided to really pursue writing as a career, especially as such a young person, because I'm now the same age as he was when he was starting Aragon, which is kind of crazy to think, because he's inspired me even when I was like 12 and started making videos. And I think one of the first videos on this channel was a Aragon book review, which fortunately has been removed. But it really did a really wonderful job of taking a story that people really appreciated because it was this bridge between, let's say you finish Black Cauldron or let's say Chronicles of Narnia or Harry Potter or something like that, and you think that you want to make a jump to higher fantasy or epic fantasy. You don't want to go straight from, well, I finished Deathly Hallows, and so I'm now going to go and do The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson or Mistborn or something like that. Mistborn's good, though. I will do a review on that soon. So it was really this series that you could go like, oh, it's really cool. Young inspirational author wrote this, and I want to take a look at it. And at the same time, I can give this to my kids, and they can look at it and they can read it, and it can be their bridge for when they go and take, I've gone from Harry Potter, now I'm going to go to The Way of Kings, but I need a in-between series, and I want it to be something that's also impactful and a good read and really cozy, and that's what the Inheritance Cycle was for me and a lot of other readers. But at the same time, that was, I think it was almost 25 years ago, I think. Nearly, we're coming on 25 years, I think, since I think it was 2000 Aragon was released. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, but now these people are older and their interests and their reading habits have really shifted, I think. And a lot of that comes down to them wanting more mature topics and wanting to understand even old worlds like the world of Aragon and now Murtagh in a way that fits their new reading and their new to be read piles, feels and genres and tropes and philosophical intrigue. And that's something that Murtagh did really, really well, I think. And a lot of this was, it took this nostalgia and it pulled it out and was able to take it from a whole new angle. But as I said, I want this to be something where writers and readers can get into it. Sorry if I bored all you readers with that like 30-second splurge there. Sorry. But let's get into this and pitch it as a book for you guys to read. I know you've got a looming TBR for sure, to be read pile. So let's read the back matter and my blurb of what this story is like real quick. All right, here is a little summary intriguing summary I wrote that I want you guys to maybe be hooked by. Let's see here. In Murtagh, we follow a dragon and rider with a dark past. Okay. Uh, in Murtagh, we follow a dragon and rider with a dark past. We follow Murtagh as he tracks down hints of darkness left over from the fall of the Empire, or is it something darker? Something deeper stirring beneath the mountains? All in all, I think that this is just a really cozy read, where we get to see a character whom we love from the Inheritance Cycle. And even if you haven't read it, I'm reading the script now. I'm just gonna read the back matter. Okay, I will read the blurb and pitch it to you in a second. The world is no longer safe for the Dragon Rider, Murtagh, and his dragon Thorn. An evil king has been toppled, and they are left to face the consequences of the reluctant role they played in his reign of terror. Now they are hated and alone, exiled to the outskirts of society. Throughout the land, hushed voices whisper a battleground, and a faint scent of brimstone in the air, and Murtagh senses that something wicked lurks in the shadows of Alagasia. So begins an epic journey into the unknown as Murtagh and Thorn must find and outwit a witch veiled in mystery. In this gripping novel, starring one of the most popular characters from Christopher Paolini's blockbuster Inheritance Cycle, a dragon rider must discover what he stands for in a world that has abandoned him. Murtagh is a perfect book with which to enter the world of Aragon for the first time, or to joyfully return. That's kind of the back matter. That's not a very good blurb though. So I'm gonna try and find a better blurb, or I will just try to summarize it myself. Well, that is a sad blurb. So I'm gonna try and summarize this book myself because I think that didn't really give it justice. So Murtagh, we follow Murtagh, obviously. That's too much of a spoiler, I think. I can't tell you that. We follow Murtagh as he traverses guilt and pain and kind of PTSD from the events of the Inheritance Cycle, as he goes about this new life after the fall of the Empire, searching for he sees little remnants of darkness that he's trying to track down as a dragon rider, but at the same time that everyone hates him because of his reluctant role, as it said there, in the reign of the Emperor Galbatorix in the Inheritance Cycle. And so we see him tracing this down. He's kind of become more of a ranger, but in a dragon rider style. And really, this was just a book where I think Chris Paolini allowed himself to have a lot more fun with this world, because we got little hints of lore and bits of world building that we hadn't seen before. We got, classic, like, oh, Irish, there's gnomes in the woods, except it, didn't call them gnomes, but we got to see some really fun little pieces of pulp from the world where we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this little side quest real quick, to get this thing, we're gonna have to have you go and get a dragon scale so that we can get this fish. It was a delightful read, I think, really cozy. Of course it is a bit of a chunky boy, but not in regards to other series like the Stormlight Archive. One of the things that Murtagh is allowing for is the enjoyment of a world not only for the readers of the series, but also for new readers of this world. So if you are someone who has not read the Inheritance Cycle, I will encourage you to read it reluctantly, learn a little bit more about it. But if you are like, okay, this sounds really interesting, but I don't know if I want to read it, I would encourage you to make your way through the Inheritance Cycle first, and then read this, although this is a good entering point to the world of Aragon for sure. Now that we have the reader side of things out of the way, I can full-blown writer side of things. So let's do that. As I said, I kind of splurged and skipped the section of the script. I don't really refer to it very much. Where I was doing the reader version, I should have referred to that more. But now I get to kind of talk more about nostalgia. And as I said earlier, the thing about Murtagh is that it really took nostalgia, pulled it over here, but not only in a way that's like, okay, we're going to sell copies, but we're actually going to explore plots and characters and ideas and pain and grief that these characters have had in the past in a more adult tone while still being clean for the readers who are just discovering it. And this is something that I've noticed with my friends who have picked it up recently, mainly because of me being dragged into it, but I've had some friends where I'm like, you're reading it? Yes. And so they will come into it and they read the first 4 books, Aragon, Eldest, Brisingar, Inheritance, and then they're like, okay, I'm ready for something new. I really love these themes, I love these tropes, I love these characters, and so they're exploring these deeper themes, really, to a further extent, where in the last book you can almost, in Inheritance, you can kind of see that it wants to be adult almost, but is holding itself back. I would say this book is now an adult book. It's really jumped the gap and is now allowing itself to explore these philosophical themes because the audience has aged, and that is one of the things that did really well, and that I want to analyze today with that nostalgia, is that the original audience, 15-year-olds, high schoolers, college students, and the YA readers at the time before there was YA, they read this and now they're grown up and they're reading more. And as I said, they want to explore these new adult themes, but with the same characters who have hardly aged. And that's what this has really done, where they're allowing themselves to enjoy this from those adult themes. So I hope that you were able to really enjoy that side of things. I do really want to do another analysis style book review in the future, and definitely will. And I want to do this something more consistently, where I finish a book and I see something that I really liked and want to learn how to write myself. I will do a review in this style. I'm sorry, this one was kind of clunky, trying to get back into the flow of posting consistently. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you can really go out and read with confidence or write with confidence in this style. So, blessings.